Did my begrudging yoga, and now I thought we'd do a little book club, read some Poe. And if anybody needs some inspiration, we'll pull some cards from the Begrudgingly Grateful deck. And a softer place to land, you were here first. So let's see what kind of inspiration comes for you. We have a reframe. You occasionally confuse growth with analysis. Take a nap instead. Naps are always a great recommendation when things are too much. And let's see, Assemblywoman Deborah. It's exciting to see you here. I always see you out and about. Oh, how appropriate. Boundaries. Protect your peace like state secrets. Classified, you. Very relaxing vibes. So I guess since it's just us, does anybody happen to have a Poe favorite? Let's see what we have in here. And then we also have these guys. I think we'll be basic and start with my personal favorite. Annabelle Lee. It's on page 90. I actually grew up not too far outside of Richmond, Virginia, and they have a Poe museum there, and even like a little boat you can take tours on called the Annabelle Lee. Now let's get this music turned off. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted, her and me. And this was the reason that long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud by night, chilling my Annabelle Lee, so that her highborn kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud, chilling and killing my Annabelle Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And the stars never rise, but I see the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the side of the sea. All right. Did you guys hear me okay? I want to make sure this is the first time I've done a live, so I want to make sure my setup is good. Then again, I guess if you couldn't hear me, you probably would be saying something by now. Let's see. How about Shadow, a parable? That was like right after the one I read, of course. Shadow, a parable. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow, from the Psalm of David. Ye who read are still among the living, but I who write shall have long since gone my way into the region of shadows. For indeed, strange things shall happen, and secret things be known, and many centuries shall pass away ere these memorials be seen of men. And, when seen, there will be some to disbelieve, and some to doubt, and yet a few who will find much to ponder upon in the characters here graven with a stylus of iron. The year had been a year of terror, and of feelings more intense than terror for which there's no name upon the earth. For many prodigies and signs had taken place, and far and wide over the sea and land, the black wings of the pestilence were spread abroad. To those, nevertheless, cunning in the stars, it was not unknown that the heavens wore an aspect of ill. And to me, the Greek oinos, among others, it was evident that now had arrived the alternation of that 794th year. At the entrance of Aries, the planet Jupiter is conjoined with the red ring of the terrible Saturnus. The peculiar spirit of the skies, if I mistake not greatly, made itself manifest, not only in the physical orb of the earth, but in the souls, imaginations, and meditations of mankind. Over some flasks of red Chian wine, within the walls of a noble hall, a dim city called Ptolemais we sat. At night, a company of 7. And to our chamber there was no entrance save by a lofty door of brass. And the door was fashioned by the artisan Corinnos, and being of rare workmanship, was fastened from within. Black draperies, likewise, in the gloomy room, shut out our view of the moon, the lurid stars, and the peopleless streets. But the boding and the memory of evil, they were not to be. Would not be so excluded. There were things around us and about of which I can render no distinct account. Things material and spiritual, heaviness in the atmosphere, a sense of suffocation, anxiety, and, above all, that terrible state of existence which the nervous experience when the senses are keenly living and awake, and meanwhile the powers of thought lie dormant. A dead weight hung upon us. It hung upon our limbs, upon the household furniture, upon the goblets from which we drank, and all things were depressed and borne down thereby. All things save only the flames of the 7 lamps which illuminated our revel, uprearing themselves in tall slender lines of light. They thus remained burning all pallid and motionless, And in the mirror, which their luster formed upon the round table of ebony at which we sat, each of us, there assembled behind the pallor of his own countenance, and the unique and the unquiet glare in the downcast eyes of his companions. Yet we laughed and were merry in our proper way, deeply, although the purple wine reminded us of blood. For there was yet another tenant of our chamber, in the person of young Zoilus, dead, and at full length he lay, enshrouded, the genius and doom of the scene. Alas! He bore no portion in our mirth, save that his countenance, distorted with the plague, in his eyes in which death but had half extinguished the fire of the pestilence, seemed to take interest in our merriment, as the dead may happily take in the merriment of those who are to die. But although I, Oinos, felt that the eyes of the departed were upon me, I forced myself not to perceive the bitterness of their expression, and gazing down steadily into the depths of the ebony mirror, sang with a loud and sonorous voice the songs of the son of Taeus. But gradually my songs they ceased, and their echoes, rolling afar off among the sable draperies of the chamber, became weak and undistinguishable, and so faded away. And lo, from among those sable draperies were the sounds of the song departed. There came forth a dark and undefined shadow, a shadow such as the moon, when low in heaven might fashion the figure of the man. But it was the shadow neither of man nor God, nor of any familiar thing. And quivering a while among the draperies of the room, and at length rested in full view upon the surface of the door of brass. But the shadow was vague and formless and indefinite, and was the shadow of neither man nor God, neither God of Greece, nor God of Chaldea, nor any Egyptian god. And the shadow, oh, Rebecca and Zombri, we have new people. I'm almost done with this, and once I'm done with this part, I'll pull a couple cards from you, and we'll find something else. Let's see. God of Chaldea, nor any Egyptian god, and the shadow rested upon the brazen doorway, and under the arch of the entablature of the door, and moved not, nor spoke any word, but there became stationary, and remained. And the door whereupon the shadow rested was, if I remember aright, over against the feet of the young Zoilus, enshrouded. But we, the seven there assembled, having seen the shadow as it came out from among the draperies, dared not steadily behold it, but cast down our eyes and gazed continually into the depths of the mirror of ebony. And at length I, Oinos, speaking some low words, demanded of the shadow its dwelling and its appellation. And the shadow answered, I am shadow, and my dwelling is near to the catacombs of Ptolemais, and hard by those dim plains of Helusion which border upon the foul Coronian canal. And then did we, the seven, start from our seats in horror, and stand trembling, and shuddering, and aghast, for the tones in the voice of the shadow were not the tones of any one being, but a multitude of beings, and, varying in their cadences from syllable to syllable, fell duskly upon our ears in the well-remembered and familiar accents of many thousand departed friends. All right, how about some plague fear for your morning? All right, so Zombri, you came first. We're going to pull a card for you from the Begrudgingly Grateful deck and see what Self Hell has to say for you. Oh, this one jumped out. I guess if it was tarot, doesn't that mean it like wants you? Okay, so yeah, this one jumped out. So I'm going to assume it needed you. Chaos mitigation. You're not antisocial. You're selectively peaceful. Schedule solitude like therapy. We have to remember, even if you have to schedule it, peaceful moments are essential. All right, I'm going to drink some coffee, and your turn next, Rebecca. Okay, we've got our coffee. So, Rebecca, let's see what the cards say for you. Ha! Hydrate. Moisture. Because decomposition should not start early. Add lemon if you crave the illusion of control. Spices things up for you. We've got a dweller. And actually, I guess we'll pull one for you too since we're here. Okay, so yours. Oh, you also have chaos mitigation. Maybe I'm not shuffling well, or maybe you need to stare at a tree and call it grounding. Nature does not care about your notifications. Get some vitamin D. All right. So that's everybody. Now we get to go next. So, Rebecca, do you have a favorite poem? We have poems, we have short stories. I was thinking about maybe getting to the cask of Amontillado. It we like to keep it cult adjacent here, okay? Oh, okay, so we're doing the cask of Amontillado. Perfect. What page is that one on? 225. All right, so this one's actually like a proper short story, so tuck in. I'll try and do a better job of paying attention when people come in. Let's see. All right. The cask of Amontillado. God, I love this one. The thousand injuries of Fortunato I had borne as best I could. But when he ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. You, who so well know the nature of my soul, will not suppose, however, that I gave utterance to a threat. At length, I would be avenged. This was a point definitely settled, but the very definitiveness with which it was resolved precluded the idea of risk. I must not only punish, but punish with impunity. A wrong is unredressed when retribution overtakes its redresser. It is equally unredressed when the avenger fails to make himself felt as such to him who has done the wrong. It must be understood that neither by word nor deed had I given Fortunato cause to doubt my goodwill. I continued, as was my wont, to smile in his face, as he did not perceive that my smile now was at the thought of his immolation. He had a weak point, this Fortunato, although in other regards he was a man to be respected and even feared. He prided himself. Oh, hi, Kate. We literally just started the cask of Amontillado. And I guess since we're at the beginning, we'll go ahead and pull you a card. I don't want to lose my page though. So we're going to use the Dweller's card as a bookmark. All right. Ooh, this one's one of my favorites, Kate. Boundaries. Say it twice if they flinch. Practice your echo. I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory. All right, so where was I? Maybe I'll just use this to help keep my track too. Um, he had a weak point, this Fortunato, although in other regards he was a man to be respected and even feared. He prided himself on his connoisseurship in wine. Few Italians have the true virtuoso spirit. For the most part, their enthusiasm is adopted to suit the time and opportunity, to practice imposture upon the British and Austrian millionaires. In painting and gemmery, Fortunato, like his countrymen, was a quack. But in the matter of old wines, he was sincere. In this respect, I did not differ from him materially. I was skillful in the Italian vintages myself, and bought largely whenever I could. Oh, let's get that. There we go. It was about dusk one evening during the there we go. Supreme madness of the carnival season that I encountered my friend. He accosted me with excessive warmth, for he had been drinking much. The man wore motley. He had on a tight-fitting party-striped dress, and his head was surmounted by the conical cap and bells. I was so pleased to see him that I thought I should never have done wringing his head. I said to him, "My dear Fortunato, you are luckily met. How remarkably well you are looking today. But I have received a pipe of what passes for Amontillado, and I have my doubts." "How?" said he. "Amontillado? A pipe? Impossible. And in the middle of carnival?" "I have my doubts," I replied. "And I was silly enough to pay the full Amontillado price without consulting you in the matter. You were not to be found, and I was fearful of losing a bargain. Amontillado! I have my doubts. Amontillado? I must satisfy them. Amontillado! As you're engaged, and I am on my way to Lucchese, if anyone has a critical turn, it is he. He will tell me. Lucchese cannot tell Amontillado from sherry. And yet some fools will have it that his taste is a match for your own. Come, let us go." "Whither?" "To your vaults." "My friend, no. I will not impose upon your good nature. I perceive you have an engagement. Lucchese, I have no engagement. Come." "My friend, no. It is not the engagement, but the severe cold with which I must perceive you are afflicted. The vaults are insufferably damp. They are encrusted with nitre. Let us go, nevertheless. The cold is merely nothing. Amontillado? You have been imposed upon. And as for Lucchese, he cannot distinguish sherry from Amontillado." Thus speaking, Fortunato possessed himself of my arm, putting on a mask of black silk and drawing a recoulier closely about my person. I suffered him to hurry me to my palazzo. There were no attendants at home. They had absconded to make merry in honor of the time. I had told them I should not return until the morning, and had given them explicit orders not to stir from the house. These orders were sufficient, I well knew, to ensure their immediate disappearance, one and all, as soon as my back was turned. I took from their sconces 2 flambeaux, and giving one to Fortunato, bowed him through several suites of rooms to the archway that led to the vaults. I passed down a long and winding staircase, requesting him to be cautious as he followed. We came at length to the foot of the descent, and stood together on the damp ground of the catacombs with the Montresors. The gait of my friend was unsteady, and the bells upon his cap jingled as he strode. "The pipe?" said he. "It is farther on," said I, "but observe the white webwork which gleams from those cavern walls." He turned towards me and looked into my eyes with 2 filmy orms that distilled the rheum of intoxication. "Nitra?" he said at length. "Nitra," I replied. "How long have you had that cough?" My poor friend found it impossible to reply for many minutes. "It's nothing," he said at last. "Come," I said with decision. "We will go back. Your health is precious. You are rich, respected, admired, beloved. You are happy, as I once was. You are a man to be missed. For me, it is no matter. We will go back. You will be ill, and I cannot be responsible. Besides, there's Lucchese." "Enough," he said. "The cough is a mere nothing. It will not kill me. I shall not die of a cough." "True, true," I replied. "And indeed, I had no intention of alarming you unnecessarily, but you should use all proper caution. A draught of this Medoc will defend us from the damps." Here I knocked off the neck of a bottle which I drew from a long row of its fellows that lay upon the mould. "Drink," I said, presenting him the wine. He raised it to his lips with a leer. He paused and nodded to me familiarly while his bells jingled. "I drink," he said, "to the buried repose around us, and I to your long life." He took my arm again, and we proceeded. "These vaults," he said, "are extensive." "The Montresors," I replied, "were a great and numerous family." "I forget your arms." "A huge human foot d'or in a field azure. The foot crushes a serpent rampant whose fangs are embedded into the heel." "And the motto?" "Nemo me impune lasse," which means no one can harm me with impunity. "Good," he said. The wine sparkled in his eyes, and the bells jingled. My own fancy grew warm with the Medoc. We had passed through the walls of piled bones, with casks and puncheons intermingling, into the innermost recesses of the catacombs. I paused again, and this time I made bold to seize Fortunato by an arm above the elbow. "The nitre," I said. "See, it increases, it hangs like moss upon the vaults. We are below the river's bed. The drops of moisture trickle among the bones. Come, we will go back ere. It's too late. Your cough." "It is nothing," he said. "Let us go on. But first, another draught of the Medoc." I broke and reached him a flagon of the de Grave, and he emptied it at a breath. His eyes flashed with a fierce light. He laughed and threw the bottle upwards with a gesticulation I did not understand. I looked at him in surprise. He repeated the movement, a grotesque one. "You do not comprehend?" he said. "Not I replied. "Then you are not of the Brotherhood." "How?" "You are not of the Masons." "Yes, yes," I said. "Yes, yes. You... Impossible. A Mason?" "A Mason," I replied. "A sign," he said. "A sign?" "It is this," I answered, producing a trowel from beneath the folds of my recollier. "You jest," he exclaimed, recoiling a few paces. "But let us proceed to the Amontillado." "Be it so," I said, replacing the tool beneath the cloak and again offering him my arm. He leaned upon it heavily. We continued our route in search of the Amontillado. We passed through a range of low arches, descended, passed on, and descended again, arrived at a deep crypt, in which the foulness of the air caused our flambeaux rather to glow than flame. At the most remote end of the crypt, there appeared another, less spacious. Its walls had been lined with human remains, piled to the vault overhead, in the fashion of the great catacombs of Paris. The three sides of this interior crypt were still ornamented in this manner. From the fourth side, the bones had been thrown down and lay promiscuously upon the earth, forming at one point a mound of some size. Within the wall, thus exposed by the displacing of the bones, we perceived a still interior recess, in depth about 4 feet, in width 3, in height 6 or 7. It seemed to have been constructed for no special use within itself, but formed merely the interval between two colossal supports of the roof of the catacombs, and was backed by one of their circumscribing walls of solid granite. It was in vain that Fortunato, uplifting his dull torch, endeavored to pry into the depth of the recess. Its termination the feeble light did not enable us to see. "Proceed," I said. "Herein is the Amontillado. As for Lucchese—" "He is an ignoramus," interrupted my friend, as he stepped unsteadily forward, while I followed immediately at his heels. In an instant he reached the extremity of the niche, and finding his progress arrested by the rock, stood stupidly bewildered. A moment more, and I had fettered him into the granite. In its surface were two iron staples, distant from each other about 2 feet, horizontally. From one of those suspended a short chain, from the other a padlock. Throwing the links about his waist, it was but the work of a few seconds to secure it. He was much too astounded to resist. Withdrawing the key, I stepped back from the recess. "Pass your hand," I said, "over the wall. You cannot help feeling the nitre. Indeed, it is very damp. Once more, let me implore you to return. No? Then I must positively leave you. But I must first render you all the little attentions in my power." "The Amontillado!" ejaculated my friend, not yet recovered from his astonishment. "True," I replied, "the Amontillado." As I said these words, I busied myself among the pile of bones which I've before spoken. Throwing them aside, I soon uncovered a quantity of building stone and mortar. With these materials and the aid of my trowel, I began vigorously to wall up the entrance of the niche. I had scarcely laid the first tier of the masonry when I discovered that the intoxication of Fortunato had in a great measure worn off. The earliest indication I had of this was a low moaning cry from the depth of the recess. It was not the cry of a drunken man. There was a long and obstinate silence. I laid the second tier, and the third, and the fourth. Hi, Laura. We're just finishing up the cask of Amontillado, and then we shall pull a card for you. Where was I? And then I heard the furious vibrations of the chain. You came in at the good part, too. You just got here. He just started walling them up. The noise lasted for several minutes, during which, that I might hearken to it with the more satisfaction, I ceased my labors and sat upon the bones. When at last the clanking subsided, I resumed the trowel and finished without interruption the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh tier. The wall was now nearly upon level with my knee, or my breast. Again, I paused, and holding the flambeau over my mason work, threw a few feeble rays upon the figure within. A succession of loud and shrill screams, bursting suddenly from the throat of the chained form, seemed to thrust me violently back. For a brief moment, I hesitated. I trembled. Unsheathing my rapier, I began to grope with it about the recess. But the thought of an instant reassured me. I placed my hand upon the solid fabric of the catacombs and felt satisfied. I reapproached the wall. I replied to the yells of him who clamored. I re-echoed. I aided. I surpassed them in volume and in strength. I did this, and the clamorer grew still. It was now midnight, and my task was drawing to a close. I had completed the 8th, the ninth, and the 10th tier. I had finished a portion of the last and the 11th. There remained but a single stone to be fitted and plastered in. I struggled with its weight. I placed it partially in its destined position. But now there came from out the niche a low laugh that erected the hairs upon my head. It was succeeded by a sad voice, which I had difficulty in recognizing as that of the noble Fortunato. The voice said, "Ha ha ha! He! A very good joke indeed! An excellent jest! We shall have many a rich laugh about it at the palazzo. Over the wine! The Amontillado," I said. "Yes, the Amontillado. But is it not getting late? Will they not be waiting us at the palazzo? The Lady Fortunato and the rest? Let us be gone, or let us be gone." "Yes," I said, "let us be gone." "For the love of God, Montresor." "Yes," I said, "for the love of God." But to those words I hearkened in vain for a reply. I grew impatient. I called aloud, "Fortunato!" No answer. I called again, "Fortunato!" No answer still. I thrust a torch through the remaining aperture and let it fall within. There came forth in reply only a jingling of the bells. My heart grew sick on account of the dampness of the catacombs. I hastened to make an end of my labor. I first forced the last stone into its position. I plastered it up. Against the new masonry, I re-erected the old rampart of bones. For the half of a century, no mortal has disturbed them. In pace resquiat. Rest in peace, Fortunato. All right. Let's get you your cards, Laura. All right. Oop. You have reframe. Petty hope still counts. Feed it crumbs. All right, let's see, what time is it? 10:39. Been doing this for a bit. Oh, poor. Oh no, never mind. I think Wendy was coming to the other one. I forget. She's in another time zone. All right, I say one more, and then we're done with Begrudging Book Club until our late edition. Do we have any requests? Mm, let's see. Oh, yeah, and I guess after I'm done reading, I'll show everybody their cards again in case they want to screenshot it. Keep it with you for the day. That can be your petty hope, Laura. um, let's do. I mean, I guess we can be those basic bitches in the inaugural book club. Might as well read The Raven, right? How long is that one? It's only 3 pages, so yeah, we'll be good. 76. Oh, I forgot. I wrote a begrudging benediction for us to open with. So I guess we'll have to close with it. I just looked over and saw it sitting over there. So we'll. Wendy! I was just saying that you probably weren't going to be around for this one and that you were coming to the other one. But you're here. Like literally, the universe provided you. I swear. I was talking about you 2 minutes ago. Okay, so here, let me get a bookmark and we're going to pull your card. Whatever. We'll be all right. All right. You got soothe. Calm is just rebellion at rest. File under necessary illusions. All right. Oh, let me take another drink. All right. The Raven. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. Ah, distinctly, I remember. It was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my books sure ceases sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. So that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This is it, and nothing more." Presently, my soul grew stranger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is, I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence wasn't broken, and the darkness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon I heard again a tapping somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what threat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven with the saintly days of yore. Not least obeisance made he, not an instant stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord and lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, and above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night Plutonian's shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer a little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven sitting lonely on the placid bust spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, "Doubtless," said I, What it utters is only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master with whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy bore of never, never more. But the raven still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of a bird and Boston door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. Um, This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall pass, or she shall press, nevermore. Then, methought, the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by angels whose faint footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee. By these angels he hath sent thee. Respite, respite. Hi, Sam. We're finishing up the Raven. I lost my place. Oh no. Respite, respite, and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff, this kind nepenthe and forget his lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate, yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore. Is there, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, I said, thing of evil. Prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Eden, it shall clasp a sainted maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest in the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven never flitting, still is sitting, on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadows on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. All right. Where did I set? Here's the deck. So, Sam, let's see your card. Oops. You have Move. Stretch your spine before it files for divorce. Breathe like it's foreplay. So I already did my moving. I got my begrudging yoga done before I started this. Yes, thank you, Laura. Yep, we're wrapping it up. I'm gonna do it again later tonight. I figured we'll do a daytime one, see where the vibes are, do a nighttime one. I'm sure they're different vibes, but hopefully I'll get to see you next time. And if you didn't, I'm gonna take pictures so you can save your card, your petty hope. Okay. Next up, because I forgot to open with my begrudging book club benediction, we'll close with it, and all right, we'll just leave everybody's cards here. By coffee, continuation, and mildly supervised emotional weather, welcome, except goodbye. You are not required to contribute brilliantly today. You are not required to have solved yourself before arrival. You are merely invited to exist in the vicinity of stories for a while. The library in Self Hell is now open for daytime operations. Poe is waiting patiently in the corner. The cards remain questionably insightful. The atmosphere is academically haunted. May your nervous system unclench at least 1 degree. May your thoughts feel less solitary in our shared light. And may whatever follows you today do so with slightly more grace than yesterday. Proceed accordingly, citizens, and thank you for joining me. So I guess this is it. We'll do this every Wednesday. I think the morning ones will vary. Maybe I'll do like a lunchtime one or who knows. But I had fun and we're going to keep doing this. So, anybody have anything before we adjourn? All righty then. All right. I guess I'm going to take that as a negative. Well, this closes the inaugural Begrudging Book Club. Thank you all for joining me, and I will make sure I post little copies of your cards for you. Stay begrudging.